So I'm going to show how to take the Word document that has your math type equations in it and convert it to ePub or WebPage, and also just some issues or little things that come up that should hopefully be cleaned up later on in the future as we learn more. So the following worksheet has headings, it has equations within text, and it has lists. And it also has images, which I've included the alt text description on there. If you go to Format Picture and look at the image, you'll see that there's the alt text description in there on all the images that are within this document. So to take this document and actually make it into a ePub, which is like a web page, I am no expert by any means. I have no web design capabilities, but the way this can be rendered as a web page is then it keeps all the math ML and is readable by screen readers, and the alt text on the image descriptions, all of that stays from what I can tell. There is a way in Microsoft Word to save as a web page, but the problem with that is all of your equations in here done with math type will just become objects that have no description, so basically useless. But if we use the math type button, so I'm going to go up to the math type tab and go to Publish to Math Page and click that. I have just a title, and then I have I could change where it's actually getting saved. That's fine. And then in the equations, I have the MathML using HTML plus MathJax and everything else selected. I also allowed it for all browsers. Then once you hit OK, it'll run through saving this as like an ePub, a web page. But this one will have an error, and this error pops up. So it has the error because of these images. I've tested creating the web page with just the equations and the text, and it comes out just fine, no error, nothing else needs to be done. You can actually just share the HTML link, and that's all you need. But if it has images, it does create a complexity to it that you need to deal with. So images brings up an error, but it should still work with the way that I'm going to show next. So once the web page is created, it will come up like this with everything, all the equations and the images, and equations, everything gets read appropriately. I've tested it, and now we just have to think of how do we get this to a student. If I just take the URL link that's above here, that's actually not going to do anything for my student. So I have tried where I just put the link to the HTML file as I read online to do in Google Drive. But the problem with if you only put just a link to an HTML file, then what happens is your images will not render, and they'll show up all weird, and it breaks the rest of your equations. So when you have these documents in your file, so in my folder on my desktop somewhere, I have these documents saved when I created the web page using math type. It has a folder, and it has this HTML file. And this HTML file, so this folder and HTML file, I tried saving it in Google Drive and then sharing just the HTML file. If you just share the HTML file, it will not render the images. I think it's fine with just text and just math, but the images won't come out. So that is one way you can share it. Put this in, drag this to Google Drive, and then share the HTML file link to a student, and then they can open it. But if it has images, it needs this folder as well, because in this folder is all the image references. And it won't be able to render the images at all unless it has these actual images in here, all the files. In that case, a very clunky way of doing this, and not ideal, but it is a method for now that we have until we get more information about web server that we can use and how we can work through the accessibility department. For now, if you gave the student all of these files, the folder and the HTML file, so everything that's on the screen now, and they had all of that, whether you emailed it to them or put it somewhere they can get, I'm not sure if they have I don't think the folder and the HTML through Google Drive would be enough. That might work as well, but somehow getting them both components and then they open up the HTML file, because it will have the existing image files as well, it will then open up as the web page and everything will then be there for them. So this is an alternative format other than Microsoft Word and other than a very inaccessible PDF that you can offer a student without actually having to go and recreate the wheel and create an entirely new Canvas page or web page. And you can just use your existing Word document to create this web page.